Hi guys, welcome to Always Yarn First, a podcast about knitting, crochet, and all the yarny goodness in between. I'm Lindsay, and I'm coming to you from Little Rock, Arkansas, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Always Yarn First. So, today is Saturday, May 7th, and it is a beautiful day right now. There is people behind us mowing, there's people next to us mowing. My husband is currently renovating our bathroom, so there's probably going to be some noise in this episode. But the truth is, if I don't podcast right now, it's not going to get done this weekend. So we're just going to make the best of it and real life here. So welcome. This is episode 11. So thank you for coming back. If this is your first episode, thank you for checking me out. There is some knitting and some crochet to talk about today. No acquisitions besides my monthly box from Lori, so I've been really good there. But let's get into it, okay? If you are new here, I always name my episodes by a song title of something I love because I am a big music person. So this week's episode is I'm So Into You. It's a song by SWV, and I think you'll figure out which project I am so into right now because I've made a lot of progress on it. So what I'm wearing is my summer sorrel. It is by Wool & Pine, and I used a pineapple yarn 5-color fade set called the Fuschia Sunset Fade, and I love it. When I made this, the neckline was very big, so I had to go through and pick up the stitches and crochet it around to tighten it up. But all the information for this episode, projects, all that will be listed in the down bar below. So I have finished one object, and it was an object I had started the last podcast, and I said I was going to get it done really quickly, and I did. It is my headband. This is the woven cable headband by Erica and Eleanor. It is a free pattern. I used a Madelinetosh Farm Twist First Light. And my last episode I had mentioned that this is like a heavy DK weight. And I had made one of these previously and I thought it was also DK, but it wasn't. I went back and looked it up. So here's my first one I made. This is an Aran weight. This is in DK weight. But they both fit really good. Here's the Aran weight one. And this one still fits good. So, can totally pull it off with a DK weight. The pattern does say Aran weight, but this felt thicker to me. When I bought it, I thought it was about the same. Obviously it wasn't. But this is a great pattern, super quick pattern. It's knit flat back and forth and then you seam it. There's my seam right there. But I lived in this all winter, so now I have a green one and I have a more neutral colored one, which is awesome. So that is the only thing I've finished in the last 2 weeks. But true to form, I've cast on a couple things. Interestingly enough, they're both shawls. So I kind of have not been into shawls the last couple years. With the pandemic, you weren't going out a lot. And so I just didn't find a use for them. But now I'm actually using them again. So the first one I cast on is the Rickrack Shaw. This is by Casapinka. This was the LYS Day pattern. So if you supported your local yarn store on LYS Day, which was April 15th, and you bought 2 skeins of yarn, you got this pattern for free. So I bought 2 skeins, which I had showed the last podcast because I knew I wasn't going to make it to my local yarn shop that day. But then I stashed those 2 and decided to use 2 yarns from my stash that have been in there a while and bring those out and work on them. So here's the colors I'm using. This one here is Tanis Fiber Arts Purewash Sock in the colorway Crisp Gray. It's bluey gray. And then this one here, the speckles, variegated. This one is Wobble Gobble yarn fingering in the colorway Frozen Magic. And I thought these two looked lovely together. So I'm not super far into it. But here it is. So I am carrying the yarn up, and the pattern says to do that. So after this, I get done with this repeat, the next section you hold the two colors together, which is kind of, I think, this part here on the shawl is where I held it together also, when you're going between them, and then you'll switch to the other color. So it's just a kind of like, on April 15th, I decided to cast it on. Haven't worked on it a ton, so it's definitely not one high up in my queue, per se. And then another shawl I cast on, which is in my Happy Mermaid bag, which is so cute. Of course, my biggest motivator of starting projects, yarn, is Lori from ArkansasYarnCo. And she had posted a picture on Instagram one Sunday of her working on a shawl. Just a very easy pattern she made up. She calls it the church shawl. And she uses a skein of the bamboo pop yarn, which is this yarn. I had this in my stash, and literally I could see it from where I'm sitting here. I was sitting here on my computer looking at my Instagram, and I had been looking at my stash trying to figure out what to use with certain things. And I had looked at this and I'm like, what am I going to make with this one skein? And then she showed her picture and I'm like, I have a skein of that. So I immediately cast it on. Let's see. So this is it. And so this is just the skein itself changing colors. Hers is in like a rainbow, but of course mine's in a blue. I believe this is called, High Tide. And it was fitting. I had my little duck on here that I got from last month's Sock Yarn Society box, because I thought it was fitting that the duck be floating in the water. Just remind me what my right side is. So yeah, it's just one row is one thing, one row is another thing. That's it. You just keep going till you're running out of yarn. So this is like a mindless. This is kind of my purse project. Like if I know I'm going somewhere and I don't know what to bring, this is what I grab. And I love, of course, this yarn with the bamboo. It's going to be, of course a shawl is light, but this is going to be extra light, perfect for like warm days, but just like when it's just getting a little cool. So I'm really excited to have this, and it's super easy to work on. I definitely suggest trying this yarn if you haven't in the past. So those are my two cast-ons. So let's get into some stuff you've already seen. All right, this one I actually haven't done for a while, but I pulled back out the other day. I am working on this, pardon, for a store sample at ArkansasYarnCo. This is the Hayride Triangle shawl. So this is a crochet pattern. Let's see, do I have a stitch marker on here? So basically I've done this much since the last time I've shown it. I think about 5 or 6 rows from adding the other color. So I'm going to add this color as the border. And this is using Malabrigo Arroyo, which is DK weight. And this is the color Peggy. And this blue one is the color Azul Profundo. So let me see if I have a picture I can show of it. It's pretty cute. So it'll have a border, some tassels on it. But yeah, so this is a crochet pattern, and I am using an eye hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter. And this pattern, if I didn't already say it, it's by Tony Lipsey, who's known as TL Yarn Crafts. And this is a very easy and very fun pattern to do. I just kind of got distracted for a while with all the things, as you know, one does. But again, I've been into shawls lately. Obviously, working on 3 of them. So that was nice to pull that out and work on it again. All right, let's get into sweaters. So this next one is in my fringe Applico bag, which they do not make bags anymore. But my daughter is learning sewing, and I take her to sewing classes every week. And Fringe came out with, a Grain Line Studio came out with a pattern that you can make your own fringe bag. And I saw it one day when we were at the yarn store, so I bought it. Not that my daughters can make it yet, but she promises me when she feels confident to make it that it will be in the works. So I bought the pattern. All right, so this is the subject of this week's podcast name. This is the pattern I can't get enough of, I can't put down, and this is the Rocket Tee. So, it actually looks like a t-shirt now. So, last time I showed it, I'll put it upside down because I was still knitting flat. And that's the marker there. That is from one of Lori's markers that was in the Sock Yarn Society box for April. So I have made a lot of progress on this one. I mean, it's easy. Again, it's really easy. Now I'm in the round, and it's just a 2-row repeat, which again, memorize, and then changing colors every 8 rows. But it's so easy, and I really see the lack of warmer knits in my wardrobe, so I want this done. I want to wear it. But you can see where my marker was. There's quite a few inches. Interestingly, my colors for 8 inches is pretty much, or for 8 rows, is pretty much an inch. So I made many inches of progress to where that marker is. So I'm loving it. I have tried it on. I like it. So I'm really excited. And like I said before, if this works, I'm hoping to make maybe like a plain colored one. This pattern, I don't think I ever really paid attention before. It has a side detail under the arms. Obviously it has it where, you know, the increases are, but it has a side detail right here, which is fine. But kind of when I got a few colors in, I'm like, it's kind of, I don't love it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's not my style. But asked a few friends if they thought it would look dumb if I stopped, and they said, yeah. So I'm keeping going with this, but if I make another one, I'm going to skip that part next time. And I probably will make another one. So this one, again, it's the Rocket Tee. The pattern is by Tanis Lavallee, who is Tanis Fiber Arts. The colors I'm using, the green is a mystery color. I mentioned it was Deep Stash. I'm pretty sure it's Stitched Together Studios, but I'm not positive. And then the white, so I did not use mohair, but this is a lace weight. It's Expression Fiber Arts Wisp Lace and the colorway Happy Buzz. I was telling my daughter last time that I think this colorway reminds me of Lucky Charms milk. Like after you've had a bowl of Lucky Charms and your marshmallows have like melted in with your milk. That's what that reminds me of. I love Lucky Charms. It's my guilty pleasure cereal of choice. So, I don't know. I don't want to promise anything because I haven't been really great on my goals lately, but I would love to be wearing this by the next podcast, so we'll see. And Tanis Fiber Arts currently has a knit-along for this, and she has a brand new sweater. I don't remember the name of it, but you can make the new sweater, which is another t-shirt, or you can make the rocket tee. And let me see, the hashtag for hers is TFA Summer Tea Cal, K-A-L. And it's going till June 5th or 6th. So I definitely want to get it done by then so that I can enter to win something, which is always exciting. All right, one more sweater that I've worked on, and that is my Cape Creek Minimalist Pullover. And I finished the body of it. So again, let me look at my mess going on here. So I finished the body and I have started a sleeve. So this pattern, again, let me see if I can, well, I don't have the pattern right here. So this pattern has like a certain point, it starts a longer kind of like cuff ribbing sleeve. And so actually what I'm going to do when I get to that part of the knitting, I'm going to stop with this color and I'm going to use this color. So I'm really excited about that. Currently this one is olive yarn, which is their worsted weight, and it's the color Horizon. So really happy with this. Obviously this is going to be way too warm to wear if I finish it until the fall, but this has been a long time coming. So excited about that. So progress is being made. All right, now I have 2 blankets that I've been working on. All right, the first one is what I call it my Advent Granny Square. Although the last podcast I had finished all the Advent colors from it. So now I am adding in monthly the mini skeins I get from the Pineapple Yarn monthly club. So here it is. So last time I had just, let's see where my stitch marker is. I had just finished the Advent colors. So I put the marker in there. So then I get 3 colors a month, which I showed. I'm in my second one right now. She doesn't name these. They just say the month and the year. So this would be April 2022. I'm in the second skein of it now. I have one more after this. I'm trying to get caught up because she ships them on the 10th of the month. So that means she's a few days out from shipping the next one. So I'm trying not to get super behind. But you can see the next color was also a purple one that I added. I tried to kind of go with the purple I finished on the Advent. And then this one I'm doing now is very, very colorful. So that's where I'm at on this. This is just going to be a big old lap blanket. I'm going to go till I'm happy with the size. It's just, again, a mindless project using scraps and crocheting again. So, and I decided to use her club because I wanted to keep on with the pineapple yarn because Marina is really good with the brights. So I kind of know it would go with her Advent calendar. It would go in that same theme. And this is again in my Black Pearl Magic Pinkalicious bag that makes me happy every time I see it. All right, last one. If you've seen my last video I've posted on here, is my monthly unboxing I do with Lori at ArkansasYarnCo, where we open the Sock Yarn Society box and then we show off our Chevron blankets. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the podcast that I have 2 make-alongs going. So this is one for a Chevron blanket. It's lasting till January of next year. It is with Lori. If you use the hashtag on Instagram, the Chevron Year Itch, you'll be entered for prizes. If you finish a project or want to post on Ravelry, if you don't have Instagram, go to ArkansasYarnCo group page and post your projects there. It can be crochet or knit. So I got a little further than I showed on that, but I'm still in. I finished last month's color, which was Puddle Jumper here. And then I add in 2 rows of wedding cake, which is kind of hard to see next to the Puddle Jumper. And now I'm into Graphite. I have done 2 rows of Graphite. So what I usually do is, you'll see here, I do 2 rows of wedding cake, 6 rows of Graphite, and then 2 rows of wedding cake again before I go into the next color. So I have a few more rows before I get to add the next color, and so this is my one and only acquisition, and this is the May colorway. This is from the Sock Yarn Society box. And this is in the sparkle base, as is every color I'm adding to my blanket. And this one's called Cherry Blossoms. And it's beautiful, as it always is. So yeah, that is my Chevron blanket. That is a long-term project, but it's kind of fun. It's nice too. You know, blankets, a lot of times you see on podcasts and people have them for years, which is understandable. But it's kind of nice that Lori and I are doing a knit along for ours, because it's motivating me to keep working on it, because my goal is each month when I film with Lori, I'd like to have at least some of the previous month's box colorway on there to show off the yarn in the blanket. So I hope to not get so behind where I'm not able to do that, so you can see the yarn and how it plays. So it's super fun. So my other make along for the year, for this calendar year, is my stash make along. Again, knitting crochet. It is #mystash2022MAL. So again, I pull for a prize on that one every month, and all the past ones are included, you know, because I'm just starting out. So you can use that hashtag on Instagram, or you can post on my group site on Ravelry your finished objects. All of those I combine, and then I randomly pull a number at the end, or the beginning of the new month. I pull for the previous month. And so I pulled for April, and I came up with my post on Instagram. So I redid a number again for April, and I pulled my friend Maddie's name. So Made by Maddie, you know, from the We Share Needles podcast, she won the April yarn for the / my stash. So congratulations to her. I've already sent that off to her. So this month, May, here is the giveaway. This is Malabrigo Arroyo, and this is in Bruhila, I believe. I used this yarn in the last love note I made, where I skipped the lace and I just did a rib top. So I will input a picture of it here, but I had gotten one skein too many, and so I don't really need this skein. Pardon me. So this will be the giveaway for May, so make sure you're posting things that you're using. The only criteria is it has to be completely used stash, and it has to be from before this calendar year it was in your stash. So nothing you bought this year. So enter to give away that. All right. Now that I've flown through that. Oh, I did lie. One other thing came in the mail. So I thought I had canceled my row 1 last month. I didn't get one last month because I got pineapple yarn instead. But evidently I just skipped a month, so then all of a sudden I was charged, and I'm like, why am I being charged? Oh, because I skipped it and I didn't cancel it. So now it is canceled for the time being. But I did just get this month's row 1. And this is super fine yarn, which is exciting because it's a podcast I actually watch. So I will get to try her yarn out. So row 1 does minis from different indie dyers. And you get 10 minis, and they're all 10 grams. I am using the row 1 minis to make a granny square afghan for my bed. Pardon me. But that's kind of taking a hiatus for now, so that's why I'm stopping the subscription, because I have about 5 of these ready to go. But until I'm actively working on them and can catch up on them, I don't want to keep getting the yarn. So you also get this nice little letter. You get to know a little bit about the yarn company. This base that I'm getting here is an Entice sock. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It comes 400 yards to 100 grams. Then they have the colorways all listed on here, but they also have the colorways listed on the little tags, which is awesome, because if you really love that color, you can go to their website and see if you can get more of it. So I did get that in the mail. And I purchased ArkansasYarnCo's Advent calendar. So that's the real reason why I haven't bought anything else, because those are not cheap. But I knew I wanted one this year, because last year I was having major FOMO of my friends opening it up, and I loved the colors so much. So this year I was determined to get one. So I'm trying to be good. I won't say I'm on a yarn diet, but I get the Sock Yarn Society Club box every month, and I'm getting the Pineapple Yarn minis every month. So I'm trying not to buy any more yarn until the yarn crawl, because the yarn crawl is mid-July, and I know I'll probably go a little crazy there. So I need to be good the next few months, so I feel worthy of spending spending money for yarn in July. Especially because Lori is getting 3 new indie dyers in, and 2 of them I already know I love. The 3rd one I've never tried, so that's going to be a real problem for me. So I'm excited about the yarn crawl. I have not worked anymore on my yarn crawl sweater, if you're wondering. Last time I had showed you that I had finished that Boxy Chevron's 1 sleeve, and so I need to do the other sleeve, but I was worried that it was too tight down here, because you do seam it in a few inches, and so it needed to be able to close around my arm. Before I started the 2nd sleeve, I wanted to make sure that was doable and that I wasn't knitting it the wrong thing. So Jessa is helping me with that, and I think it's fine. So now I do need to start on the sleeve, so that way I can get the sleeve done and at least then pick up the stitches to knit on the sweater and have a couple of months to knit on the sweater. So I can freely, not freak out that I've waited too long to start my yarn crawl sweater. So hopefully next time you will see that other sleeve. All right, so that's it for the knitting and yarn. We're going to go in to talk about podcast of the week and how I did on April goals and what are my May goals. If you're not here for that, I thank you for stopping by, and I hope to see you again in 2 weeks. If you are here for that, let's keep going. So this week, podcast of the week, I like to highlight a podcast every episode because I love so many of them, and they're all so different and have different things to offer. And it's just hanging out with different knitting friends, so who doesn't like that? So this week's podcast of the week is Fiberbound. It's Alexandra, and she is from Australia. So she hasn't been podcasting super regularly lately, but she did come out with a new podcast this week, so that's why I wanted to highlight her. So you go check her out. She is lovely to listen to. She is also doing the Desert Vista Dye Works monthly sock knit along. Maddie's also doing that this year. I did that last year, which is super fun. So not lots of socks. But she always has gorgeous yarn and different things to show. And so definitely check her out. She is one of my favorite podcasts. So she's been transitioning lately and hopes to podcast, I think, a little bit more frequently. So go check her out. All right, so let's talk goals. So April, I did not do so great in goals, and I'm okay with that. So for me, I think I've mentioned this before probably when we talk about this segment, is goals. I like having goals. I like having an idea of what I need to do. Like, for instance, I would like to finish my rocket tee for May. I want to finish that by the end of this month. I would like to finish my other boxy chevrons sleeve by the end of this month. My monthly goal every month is to catch up on my chevron throw so that when I film a video with Lori that I can show off the new color. Of my goals last month, I made one of them out of 4. So I wanted to catch up on my chevron throw. I think you see that I did not quite make it. I wanted to finish my second journey sock. Didn't even start it. And finish both sleeves for my box of chevrons. Again, didn't start the second sleeve, but I wanted to make sure the first sleeve would fit before I wasted my time starting the second sleeve. So, April was a crazy month. Like I had mentioned before, we went to Illinois and Iowa to help my grandma move, and then my husband came home sick, and then we each got it one at a time. So it's like we dealt with sickness pretty much through the whole month of April, like one of us being sick, which was miserable. So it was just slower going. I feel like I didn't get a lot of knitting and crocheting done as much as I would normally do. Just because, when you're sick, you're just tired. Pretty much you're just tired all the time. So that's okay. So far this month, I feel like, we're only 7 days into May, and I feel like, I don't know if it's my knitting mojo, because I didn't really lose my mojo. It was just my energy level for knitting has been very high. I always am having knitting in my hands, which is great. I think too, because spring has officially transitioned over, so it's like that renew of season where it gets you excited again. Like, I'm really starting to look at t-shirts and tank tops, things I could wear during the summer, and I want to cast on all the things, which means I need to finish some things first to be able to cast on these other things. So, like I said, the one thing I did finish for April was finish up the Advent Granny Square, the Advent part, which I did finish that. So now I'm working on the monthly, and I like to keep up with that so I'm not collecting more minis and not using them right away. So that's another goal for May. My boxy chevrons, my rocket tee. I would like to also finish my Cape Creek Minimalist, but I'm not, like I said, since I can't really wear that now, like, it's going to be 90 degrees like all week here. So I'm not getting one. So I'm not overly stressed about it, but I would like to get it off my needles because I would like to cast on some tank tops, which I would get some wear out of. So my goal is to finish off some sweaters so I can cast on some tank tops, which I'm really excited about. Otherwise, that's pretty much it as far as my yarn intake versus outtake. So April, I had 9 skeins in, and I had 12 skeins out. So that brings my total for the year as 70 skeins in and 68 skeins out. So I still have brought in more yarn in, but it's so close. So again, if I can get some things off my needles, get some yarn out, that would be great. My goal is to just have more yarn out than in at the end of the year, because again, I don't like saying that I'm not buying any yarn, but let's be real, I have plenty of beautiful yarn here also. So there's a balance of that. And I don't want there to be so much more yarn in that I feel overwhelmed by my stash. Right now, I don't feel overwhelmed. It's nice. Like I said, I've had a few projects. I mean, these 2 shawls I started were both from beautiful yarn I had in stash forever. So it's nice when you're like finally get to use something. You remember buying it and it was gorgeous and you loved it for a reason, and now it's actually getting used. So that's always good. And if you're new, my yarn in and out, how I don't get technical with the grams or anything like that. I just count a 50 gram or 100 gram skein as yarn in, because I can do a socks in 50 gram. So I count that as 1 yarn in, whether it's 50 or 100. Minis I don't count, scraps I don't count, pretty much full yarn in or out. Like if I do a project and I have a bit of yarn to go in the scrap pile, I will count that as a yarn out, because it's not going to go in a full project at this point. It's going to have to go in a scrappy project. So, all right, that is it. I tried to talk really fast so that the sound level wasn't crazy, but it's actually kind of quiet right now. So I think we're good. I hope you are well and taking care of yourself and getting a lot of crafty time. I so appreciate those of you that left feedback from last episode when I talked about my 3 favorite sweaters, and a lot of you were talking about that you wanted to knit some of those, which made me excited. So please comment below. Of course, subscribe, of course, like. But I love reading your comments. I feel like we're actually having a little knit night here, and we're, conversing between friends. I love to know what you're working on, especially because maybe it's something I haven't seen yet. What yarn you're loving, what needles you're loving, what's inspiring you now that the season has changed. Are you working on summer knits? I would love to hear it all. So please comment below. I love hearing back from you. Please follow me on Instagram and converse on there. I so appreciate you guys watching and sharing. It means a lot to me. I look forward to seeing you again in another 2 weeks. Happy knitting and crocheting. Bye.